the Kayanim. Now that's as far as Kairach is concerned. He had good intentions, he was punished, but what he really wanted will come to be in the Olam HaTikkun, in the future world of perfection. But where did dasan and aviram come in? Why did dasan and aviram come into this machlokes, into this quarrel? What did they quarrel about? They were from the Shevet Reuven. They were never supposed to be Levim to begin with. Now, dasan and aviram did have a reason to quarrel. Even if I would say that their intentions weren't so pure, but in a certain percentage, they did mean well. Dasan and aviram were from the Shevet Reuven. V'dasan v'aviram v'yain ben Peles b'nei Reuven. They were from the Shevet of Reuven. There is a Chazal, there is, our Chachamim tell us that la'asad lavai, the Bechayrim, the firstborn, will also do the Aveda. They will also be like the Kayanim, because of the same reason which I explained before. The Kahuna belongs to the Bechayrim, to the firstborn, and until the generation of the Midbar, who did the Aveda? Who were the worshippers, and who were the ones who brought these sacrifices on the altar? The Bechayrim. And that was the argument between Yankov and Esav. From the very birth of Yankov and Esav, they were arguing over the Bechayrim. And Yankov was supposed to be the real Bechayr, but Esav positioned himself in such a way that he was born first. Moshe l'shveiferes, if you remember that Rashi. And Esav came out first. So Esav was the factual Bechayr, but the real Bechayr, who Bashemayim, who in heaven was intended to be the Bechayr, was Yankov, Yisrael. B'ni Bechayri Yisrael, the Rabbeinu Shalom announces. The Bechayr is really Yisrael, not Esav. Esav is the wrong proprietor of the Bechayra. The Bechayra does not belong to Esav, it belongs to Yankov. And this is the constant struggle between Yankov and Esav. Who is the Bechayra? And later in life, symbolically, Yankov bought off the Bechayra from Esav. But Esav then didn't agree to the sale as Bechayras, but he still wanted to be the Bechayr even after the sale, as we find by the brachas of Yitzchak, of Yankov and Esav. And the Bechayrim were supposed to do the Aveda. The first, but because of the Avera of the Egel, the Bechayrim lost the Kahuna, that they're not the priests, and it came to the Shevet Levi and the Kayanim. They became the ones who do the Aveda, who are the priests, and they do the Aveda at the Mizbeach in the Beis HaMikdash. But originally it was supposed to be the Bechayrim, and that's how it's going to be later on also. The Bechayrim are going to do the Aveda on the Mizbeach like the Kayanim. So therefore, that was what dasan and aviram were quarreling about. Dasan and aviram were from Reuven. Reuven was the Bechayr of Yankov. Why didn't Reuven retain the Bechayr? He is the firstborn son, and he should have the privileges which come along with Bechayr. Like Yankov Avinu says in Parshas Vayechi, Reuven, Bechayri, you're my Bechayr, you're my firstborn. Yes, Eis, yes, us, you should have kingdom and kahuna. But because you sinned, because Reuven sinned by the story with Bilha, Pelegesh Aviv, he lost his Bechayr. And it came back, and he lost his Bechayr, and he lost the privileges of Bechayra. So therefore, we can understand what was the platform of dasan and aviram. Dasan and aviram being Bnei Reuven, the children of Reuven, joined with Kairach, and they said, let's make now the situation and the conditions which will prevail in the Eilam HaTikkun, in the world of perfection. Let the Leviim be the Kayanim, and also the Bechayrim should be the Kayanim, and the entire Shevet Reuven shall be Kayanim, because they're the Bechayrim. Because Reuven was really supposed to be what Levi is, they're Bechayrim. They lost it, because Yesa says Yesa us, because of Pachas Kamayim, because of their punishment. But originally they were supposed to be the Kayanim. And when everything will be rectified, when everything will be repaired, when the world of perfection, the Eilam HaTikkun, is going to come, then the Bechayrim will do the Aveda. They're going to be the Kayanim, along with the Leviim. So therefore, that was the platform of Reuven, of Dasan and Aviram. That's what they were arguing about. There are 12 months in the year. Our Sfarim tell us, the Sefer Yetzirah says so, and the Sfarim afterwards tell us this, that the 12 Shvatim are corresponding to the 12 months. Every month is a Shevet. The first month is Nisan. Nisan is the first of the Chadashim. And the Shevet, which is corresponding to Nisan, is Yehuda. And because Nisan is the king of all the months, so kingdom belongs to Yehuda. So Malchus Beis David comes from the Shevet Yehuda. Iyar is Yisachar. Iyar is Yisachar, all right, and 7 is Zvulun. That's how it goes. So in the order of the Shvatim, we have two orders, two systems, how to enumerate the Shvatim. We can start the way they are born, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and so on, Yehuda. And this is the Seder of the Toledos, according to the order in which they were born. We employ this Seder, we use it on the Choshen Mishpat. In the Parshas Tetzaveh, we are told that the Kohen Gadol is supposed to wear a Choshen, a breastplate on his chest, with 12 stones, and each stone is of a different color, and each stone represents a different Shevet, and you have inscribed on these stones, and also on the two Avnei Shayham of the shoulder of the Kohen Gadol, there were inscribed the names of all the Shvatim, dasan, according to the order of the birth, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, and so on and so forth. That's one way of the order of the Shvatim. There's another Seder. There's another order. The Degalim, the way they were stationed in the Midbar, and the way they traveled in the Midbar. According to the Degalim, so Yehuda comes first, and then comes Yisachar, and then comes Zvulun, like you have that in the Seder of Bamidbar and Nasai and Balaischa, and that was the Seder in which they brought the Kabbanis to the Chanukas HaMizbeach in Parshas Nasai. Vayayimeri, Nasi Levnei Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminadav. The first day is Yehuda, because he's first. He's corresponding to Nisan. The second day is Nisano ben Suach. He's kind of corresponding to Yisachar, and so on and so forth. So we have these two Sedarim. These two Sedarim are both true and applicable where they belong. In the Eilam HaTikkun, in the world of perfection, so Reuven comes first. Then all sin will be forgiven, and Reuven will get back his Bechayra. He will be reinstated as Bechayra, so Reuven comes first. And this appears on the chayshin, on the breastplate of the Kayin. But by the Degalim and by the Chanukas and the Siyim, Yehuda comes first, because Reuven lost his Bechayra. The fourth Shevet in the Degalim, in their traveling in the Midbar, and the fourth carbon on the fourth day of Nisan was the Shevet Reuven. Reuven is fourth if we start with Nisan, and Reuven is first if we start with Reuven. So in the current era, in the Olam Bilti Misukenes, in the world which is not perfect, Yehuda is first. But the way it's going to be in the Olam Atikin, in the world of perfection, the Olam which is going to be even after the days of Mashiach, so Reuven will be first. So the four months in succession are Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, and Tammuz. Tammuz is corresponding to Reuven. Tammuz is the Chaydish of Reuven. So really, Tammuz should have been the most important month, because it's first, if Reuven is first. But if Reuven is fourth, like it's currently, so Tammuz is also the fourth. So what happened to Reuven, that happened to Tammuz. Reuven destroyed his life. Reuven sinned. He did an aviram, and he lost his bechayra. And instead of being first, he was relegated to being fourth. And that's what happened to Tammuz. Tammuz is a month of destruction. Tammuz is destroyed. Tammuz will be reinstated. Tammuz will become, the month of Tammuz and of, as the Sfarim tell us, will be the most joyous months of the year. Tammuz will be on top. From being the lowest Chaydish, the Chaydish of Midas Hadin, it will become the highest Chaydish. But right now, Tammuz, the fourth month, shares the plight of his corresponding Shevet. He shares the plight of Reuven, the fourth Shevet. What happened to Reuven happened to Tammuz. When Reuven ruined his life, he also ruined his month. He ruined Tammuz, and Tammuz is the beginning of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Shiva Asa b'Tammuz, when the walls of Yerushalayim were broken through, Huvka ha'ir, that is the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, which symbolizes the destruction of Tammuz, which happened through Reuven, when Reuven destroyed his own life and his own future because of his sin. So, dasan and aviram represent Reuven. Who are dasan and aviram? If we let our fingers do the walking through the Chumash, we're going to find that whenever there is trouble, dasan and aviram are involved. Dasan and aviram are the denis, the menace of Klal Yisrael. Wherever it says nitzim and nitzavim, whenever you have arguments against Moshe Rabbeinu, whenever you have a quarrel, whenever you have protests, whenever you have demonstrations against Moshe Rabbeinu, who were the ones that came came to look for the man on Shabbos, when Moshe Rabbeinu said there will be no man on Shabbos? Dasan and aviram. Who are the ones who left over the man for the day later, when Moshe Rabbeinu said don't leave over the man for the day later? Dasan and aviram. Who are the ones that when Moshe and Aaron came out of Paro's palace, so they came to argue and protest against Moshe Rabbeinu, since you Moshe came, things have become worse for us Jews? Dasan and aviram. Whenever you have an argument against Moshe Rabbeinu, it's dasan and aviram. They made his life bitter in the Midbar. They were troublemakers. They made machlaikas. They were the kamsa bar kamsas of the Daya HaMidbar. And that was Reuven, because machlaikas, strife, caused the destruction of Reuven, and it caused the destruction which occurred in Tammuz. Would dasan and aviram ever have a tikkun? Will they ever be condition that it was before the Chet? We never find it's on the surface. We don't find anything about dasan and aviram. The Yeriya Kadosh talks about how great Kairach was and how pure his intentions were. But nevertheless, don't make any machlokes. But whoever says a good word about dasan and aviram, these two troublemakers, I find a bad word on them. Next Matzai Shabbos on Sunday is going to be the Yortzeit, the Hilula of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. You probably will go to the Har HaZeisim to say Tehillim at his tomb. One of the great luminaries of Yerushalayim and the entire world. He wrote the Sefer Or HaChaim Anchumish, and in Parshas Kairach, when Kairach and his fellow arguers were swallowed up, so the Or HaChaim HaKadosh brings the Medrash, which I mentioned before. They're going to go up again. However, he says, I believe, says the Or HaChaim, that this pasuk does not refer to dasan v'aviram. Dasan and aviram are the very essence of wickedness, of mischief. They will never have any tikkun, I believe. That's what the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says. So the pasuk that Rabbeinu Shalom took Kairach and his people down to the Gehenna, to hell, but he raised them again. They had a tikkun that does not refer to dasan v'aviram, says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. And that makes me gloomy. Dasan and aviram, whatever they are, whatever trouble they made, however wicked they were, but weren't they Jews? Didn't they have Jewish neshamas? Are they lost forever? Could a Jew ever be lost forever without having a tikkun? Even Isai Ha'ish, the founder of the Christian religion, the worst Jew, the best guy, even he will have a tikkun. The Yeriya Kadosh says, after 50,000 Yovelis, he will have his tikkun. He will come to his perfection. He was a Jew. No Jew can ever get lost. The pasuk says, "Levilti yidach mimenu nidach." No Jew will ever be cast away and rejected forever. Everyone will, in due time, have his averis wiped off, and he will come to Olam Haba. In the Gemara, which you are going to learn on Tisha B'Av, you will find that Onkelos, upon when he wanted to become a geya, so the Gemara tells us that Onkelos spoke to all the neshamas. He interviewed the neshamas of all the Rishayim, and he spoke to Titus and to Nebuchadnezzar and to all the other Rishayim, and he asked them, "What about becoming a Jew? I want to become a Jew. Should I become a Jew? Should I convert to Judaism?" They said no. And you should always try to trouble them, to make trouble for them. And then he interviewed Isaiah Ish, he interviewed Yushka. And Yushka told him that you should become a Jew, and you should always try to do good things for the Jews. So the Maral in Netzach Yisrael says, because Yushka is a Jew, and when Onkelos talked to him, he was already in a different world, not in Olam Hazeh anymore. and he has a shaykhis to Olam Haba. He will come to Olam Haba. So therefore he was able to say good things about the Jews. But the others who were interviewed were Goyim, and they have no shaykhis, they have no connection with Olam Haba. So even after their death, they're still as mischievous and as hateful to Jews as they were when they were alive. That's what the Maral says. Even Isai Ha'ish, even he will have it taken after 50,000 Yevils. So why shouldn't dasan and aviram have it taken? Why is the Orach Chaim HaKadosh so bitter against them? He says that they will never have it taken, and he finishes off talking about them, and he says, Kacha yavdu kala yevecha Hashem. So may all your enemies be lost, Hashem. Is there no taken? Is there no hope for dasan and aviram? They're Jews. Matzasi kaifel. I found a redemption for them. Baruch Hashem, the Rabbeinu Shalom happened to make me aware of just opening a sefer, and that sefer is a sefer. It's called from the Ramami Pano. It's called Gilgulei Neshamis. He speaks about the neshamis of what happens to them after life and what their tikkun would be. And he speaks about dasan and aviram. And he says that dasan and aviram did have a tikkun, and they're on the way to their tikkun. Dasan and aviram were reincarnated, they were megulgul, into the two oxen, the two animals, which Eliyahu Hanavi sacrificed on the Har HaKarmel. Because he wanted to prove that there is a God, that the Jewish God is a God. When the Jews at that time worshipped under Achav and Izebel, they worshipped the Avodah Zarah Baal, and he brought two oxen. One, and the understanding was, let's see who's the real God, the one that the fire will come down from heaven to that sacrifice, to that korban. And Eliyahu Navi brought two oxen. One went for the Avodah Zarah, and one went for the Mizbeach of Hashem, which he built up on the Har HaKarmel. And the fire came down to the ox on the Har HaKarmel, and everybody proclaimed, Hashem hu ha'alekim, Hashem hu ha'alekim. So these were the two oxen, dasan and aviram. And that was the tikkun that they had through Eliyahu Hanavi. And they're on the way to the tikkun, because they were used for a good purpose. And perhaps this needs a little explanation. Dasan and aviram didn't listen to the Navi, and they didn't listen to the mitzvahs of the Navi. They refused to keep the mitzvah of tzitzis. They refused to keep the mitzvah of mezuzah. You don't need mezuzah when the house is full of sfarim. You don't need tzitzis if the talus is full of tchelis. They refused to listen to the Navi to do mitzvahs. Their tikkun was that they listened to the Navi, to Eliyahu Hanavi, when he told them to do an aveira, l'shem shemayim. Because you're not supposed to bring any korban except on the Beis HaMikdash. But there, Eliyahu Hanavi, through the tzivui of Hashem, hayras sha'ah, was makriv the korban on the outside of the Beis HaMikdash, on the Har HaKarmel. So that was their tshuva. That was their tikkun, and they're on the way to the tikkun. So I'm not in a position. I'm far too small and too minuscule to say that the Orach Chaim HaKadosh was wrong and the Ramam Pano was right. They were both very great tzaddikim, and they were both Bali Ruach HaKadosh. And perhaps we could find a way how to reconcile that both really say the same thing, but I won't go into it now because it's rather late. But I will say that according to the Ramami Panu, dasan and aviram do have a tikkun, and not like the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says that Meiret Yoel Vayoal does not refer to dasan v'aviram. According to the Ramami Panu, Meiret Yoel Vayoal, that those who went down to hell, that are going to be raised and have their rectification, this does refer to dasan v'aviram. And if anybody has your calculators on hand, I will tell you a little remez. Dasan va'aviram is begematria meiret sheyoel vayoal.